Good afternoon, Trinidad Tobago, and welcome to Mike on your Mic. This is your boy Mike. How has things been on your end? How has things been this morning? I had a lot of rain. I don't know if you all experienced it on your end, but me here in Central had a lot of rain this morning. I have my guest on the line. She's waiting on the line, and I have her on coming up just next, just now on Mike on your Mic. But as I said before, and I'll continue to say, please share the live, please comment. Let's make this an interactive space. I allow this to be an opportunity for a lot of different perspectives and different voices too as well. Kirina did an article that was in the newspaper, in both two daily newspapers, and it was about universal designs and catering for the disabled. And I thought that was an interesting perspective. And the more that I got to know her, the more I thought it was an interesting perspective to bring here on Mike on the Mic. So without further ado, we're gonna try and bring her in. Let me put on her mic first. I think she muted on your end. I think it's muted on your end, Kirina. Yeah, I don't have a control. I think you mute the mic, so you need to unmute your mic on your end. So why will I allow her to unmute her mic? Let me hear you now. You hear me, Kirina?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now. Okay, great, good. Good afternoon. How are things on your end? Hello? I pray to the internet gods here. You hearing me, right? Kirina? Hello, hello? Kirina, you hear me? Kirina, hello? You hear me? Yeah, we hearing you, right? You hearing me? Yeah, bring you in. We're live. How have things been on your end with this COVID-19 pandemic we're facing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you fine. I'm hearing you perfectly.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you properly.
Is there any way you can raise the volume on your phone? Just there's a volume on your phone, and it should be fine. Yeah. Are you hearing me now? Still are not hearing me.
I'm not able to hear you properly.
If you want, you can take the jack out. Take this out.
Oh.
And it should be fine. You hear me now? Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. Technical difficulties. We live. Don't worry. Those things happen. All right. So we're here live on Mike on Mike. First of all, I was telling the audience earlier on, the main reason why I brought you in is because you did an interesting article that was featured in two daily newspapers, and it was about universal designs in building. So before we go into the other stuff, just give me a little background into yourself, Karina, and how important it is. Well, how important it is for us to be thinking about universal design when we're designing certain things too, as well, like buildings.
Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for allowing me to. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Um, Secondly, uh, I was a social science student at the University of the West Indies. I did my B.Sc in political science and a minor in social development, policy, and planning. And in that minor, I took an elective in disability studies as it was related to a field that I was interested in getting to related to design, urban planning. And I was very intrigued about how the social science course I did was related to something still related to social sciences, but urban planning is more architectural, about geography and all these other things. And the course itself made you meet people with disabilities and hear from them their experiences, and that was very necessary because how was I was going to understand the disabilities isn't about disabilities alone, it's about people and advocating for them and their rights and stuff. So um coming back to the article, I wanted to use the knowledge that I learned in my degree in my course and share it with the wider public and make them aware of one aspect of disability studies, which is universal design, and how we could promote accessibility in not just the built environment but also in the virtual environment, because universal design could be applied to technology
Mm-hmm.
and information and making information more accessible for people with disabilities.
That's an interesting perspective, especially in terms of the technology. You care to expand on how it is that we can make it more accessible for people with disabilities in terms of the technology, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic that we're facing as a community together? How important it is for us to be thinking more than just one specific group, but the entire group.
Well, one insight I think of off the bat was in disability studies. A popular Calypsonian, you know of him, an extemporanean Lingo. He came and visited us and spoke to us about his life thus far with his visual impairments. And he told us about how on his phone he has certain apps that help him go about his day-to-day activities, help him navigate life. So off the top of my head, that is one instance where universal design is at play, because it is providing a medium for people with visual impairments to communicate, to get things done through Braille. And it is literally not just intangible things like books anymore. It's in technology, so people who want to have that convenience of a smartphone are not facing an impediment because they have a disability. There are apps that are available. There are also other sorts of learning technologies for children, people with autism, have different assistive technologies. But in general, assistive technologies are a big aspect of ICTs that perpetuate what is universal design through technology. And I think it's
Why
very important.
I ask the question too is because during this the shadow of COVID-19 that we're facing as a community, more and more we're basically stuck at home. We have to find ways to embrace digital technologies in order for us to be self-sustainable at one point, or to be able to, how you say, to communicate and to also continue working. And I think that's a very interesting perspective that in the design of our digital space, we need to adopt international standard and think about those who may not be able to use your eyes or be able to have this certain disabilities, and how best we could design for everybody to be inclusive. Is that what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a report released from the UN, if I'm not mistaken. It was an updated report on how people with disabilities are dealing with COVID, not just with dealing with COVID, but how we can further assist them. I wasn't able to read it in its entirety, but I did take the time to research and see if there was any new work, especially with this pandemic related to people with disabilities, because this is another time where it's a pandemic, yes, but it's a crisis and man-made disaster, and this is another instance where there has to be additional planning and foresight into how we could accommodate, assist, and support people who have disabilities. Just like when we have natural disasters and you have to have proper emergency planning, emergency management, and disaster management, and you have to make sure that you have proper communication done for persons who use sign language. You have to get information out to people who might be housebound, homebound. All these different things tie back into these sorts of abnormalities or undesirable situations, but you still have to think about people who aren't able-bodied and need to be reached.
Okay. Here on Mike on the mic, we, as I said before in the beginning, I mean, thank you guys for forgiving us for the beginning. I mean, this is a digital space and we're live, and there are issues at times, but we seem to be over the issues now. But here on Mike and the Mike, as I was saying earlier on, we try to give different perspectives, and we try to show that we as a community, we are all facing the COVID-19 pandemic together, and we need to be able to communicate with one another, and we need to be able to bring that space of togetherness with one another too as well. Just to change gears a little bit. I know you said you studied political science and this was an elective at UE,
Yes.
right? How did you go from political scientist back to artist? What was that journey like for you? Why did you make that decision?
Well, when I graduated from my degree, I was planning to actually jump straight into postgrad and do my MSc in urban planning. But what happened was I did a lot of contemplation and deliberation if this was the primary field that I wanted to invest time and energy into becoming more aware of. And I realized that it wasn't the case. Although it's something I still very much care, respect, and see a need for, urban planning and design is very important, especially in Trinidad and Tobago. Um, but I realized I wanted to get back into the creative side um, of my life that has been a part of my life since I was a child, since I was a toddler, or even before that. I don't know. My parents would know for sure. But going back to art was basically reigniting facets of my life that wasn't able to be reignited
It's interesting. Hello, Karina. Well, I don't know what happened there, but it seems to me that we lost her. So I think to reiterate the point that she was bringing across was that persons with disabilities, in terms of the design thinking in Trinidad and Tobago, need to be accommodated for too as well. Um, there are also different aspects that she was kind of getting into too as well. The reasoning from moving from, how you say, from, oh, I think she's back up here. Karina, you're back up. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hi. Yes.
Yeah, you're back
Yes, I
up,
can
yeah.
hear you. I can.
I'm hearing you fine too as well. Good. You were saying, I was saying you wanted to
Okay.
give the perspective of going from political science to design and artist. What was that like? And you're talking about being in terms of
It was
design
a
when you
big
were.
transition because
Mm-hmm.
yes, it was a big transition. But it's connected, and it's not just doing art on my own, doing little crafts and learning on my own. I actually did art for CSEC while I was in secondary school, and I was really interested, not just in urban planning, but just I love design and creativity and art in general. So there's so many different things I've dabbled in and that I will continue to because I'm keen on exhausting all my creative talents, if you may. So it was interesting, but it's been fun because I've been able to amass a decent portfolio that I'm proud of. And it's not even the biggest thing in the world, but it will get bigger because I do plan to continue doing work, paintings and drawings and sculptures and other things as well.
And on screen, I think I have your website, and I'm going to the Dropbox where it's saying Fine Art Web Gallery. I mean, just gonna just showcase some of your work here on Mic
Yeah.
on the Mic as well. But I noticed well, it didn't load. Sorry about that. Yeah, I noticed that you had a exhibition that was in Parliament. Can you explain what was in the Parliament building?
Okay, so in March 2020, there was an International Women's Day exhibition held by the Rotunda Gallery at the Red House titled Collective Individualism. And it was a joint exhibition, um, multi artist exhibition. I was one of the numerous artists, male and female, that we selected. So that was a very, very pivotal and special exhibition for me. And it was an opportunity for me to showcase one of my paintings that I titled Each for Equal, which was named after the painting for this year's International Women's Day celebration.
I apologize for the internet that's on your end. I mean, it's sometimes it's giving a little problem, but that's all right. We continue here on Mike on the Mic. Can you hear me, Karina? One of the questions I've been asking here that someone asked on screen, Chelsea, is asking more detail in terms of why switching your field from political science to the creative field. Why was that decision? Why did you make that decision?
Okay. Well, I felt like with political science, it is one side of what I've been interested in and I've been at since I was in school because I did not just do art when I was in school. I was a modern studies student. So I studied history, um, I did Spanish as my language, and we had compulsory subjects like biology and geography and math and English. Um, Going into CAPE, I did more liberal modern studies. So I did literature, sociology, and Spanish, and that just naturally progressed to political science for me because it was aligned to urban planning. It was one of the qualifying degrees that you could get into the master's program with. So I was okay with doing this, and it was connected to what I studied, but it meant me having to put on hold the creative fields that I'm interested in. So I decided that even though it is something I do care about and I have been in and I still do care about social sciences and liberal arts, I do want to be an active creative person and a designer. So it was basically taking the risk to pursue something on a more serious note that I think is very reflective of my personality and my spirit as a human. I think everybody has their different manifestation of who they are creatively, and from everything from how I branded my social media presence to my website I wanted everything to exude who I am in that creative light, and that's what I really wanted to continue doing.
And I mean, I'm gonna pull up something here on the screen here too as well for people looking on. This is just some of the layout of her graphics and her artwork too as well. What do you describe your art as? What if you had to describe your art? What do you call it?
It is very experimental, if that makes sense. Very eclectic because I've been doing this since December 2018. But I have not been able to confine myself to one style as yet. So is very easy for me to constantly try different techniques, different styles and colors, and trying to have different ideas that I get put on canvas, especially until I figure out what is the style that I want to stick with.
And where do you draw your inspiration from?
Well, I love texture in nature. I love um I love Caribbean art, and I love vibrant, vivid art in general. Um I was inspired by local artists like Bosco Holder and Jackie Hinkson and Che Lovelace. But I've also found artists online that I am now learning about, and I'm inspired by their work as well because of the different colors that they use, the techniques, and everything is just really um, rich to draw from and to have stimulate you when you're going back to think about what you want to do next, and what their ideas incorporates what I already had in my head. It's like a lot of things that I appreciate, but especially Bosco Holder.
What is your creative process like?
So it usually starts with images that are found most of the time online because I'm on my phone. And what I end up doing is having folders and albums where I make like mood boards in a way, because they usually are very vague ideas. And then when I find things that touch on different aspects, I'm able to collate them and have like an album of reference. And that's when I start sketching. And
Hmm.
sometimes I don't even sketch. I just know exactly what it is I want to do, and I start working with the background and painting and creating certain um, blends on the canvas. And after that, it is never like a linear thing. I would take some time before I do the next thing because I don't like rushing paintings. I don't like doing that. So I will take some time and think about what is the next layer, what else that I want, what element do I want to add. And that's why a lot of my work is mixed media too. So I have a lot of bits and ends that I salvage because I was thinking about using them. And I have them stored with my art supplies, and I'll go back to them and add them in different ways on mixed media work. So that's usually how I move.
What is your piece of work that you're most proud of?
Um, I'm I'm actually like the piece I'm most proud of was a painting I did for showcasing in February this year at the Carney Sanctuary. It was held by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, and they asked us to work on a painting after taking us on a tour of the swamp, and we had like a few days, and I was basically under pressure. So it was crunch time to get this done. And it took a lot of thought and just a lot of pressure, like
Mm-hmm.
almost like the pressure it takes to make a diamond. Like that was the kind of crunch time it was under. I was really proud with how it turned out because it got showcased and it came out really good. It came out exactly how I wanted it. So that was the piece I really liked. And it was an abstract piece about the scarlet ibises in the swamp.
During this shadow COVID-19 we're facing as a society now, how have you been occupying your time as an artist?
Well, one thing for sure is that I think about what I want to do because sometimes I actually can't, I'm not able because of the stress. It's not the best. The fluidity of normal life, having freedom, it does impact on my mental state, and that I'm able to more easily go to work and as in do work on canvas especially. But with COVID, it's been very hard for me to um be able to know what I'm able to do next. So I take a lot of time to think about ideas and create albums and mood boards about things that I want to do. But it is more like planning ahead or just having some kind of preparation. I spend more time actually, and not just with painting, like with other aspects of managing, like my artwork and art practice, like my website and everything. I spend a lot more time just planning ahead because it's very hard for me to actually do the work right now.
Okay, and in terms of website and digital design, what exactly do you do in terms of that digital space?
Well, with reference to my website,
In reference, in terms of what the services that you provide in terms of the digital space and also your website.
okay, well, at this time, I just offer graphic design and illustration services, but I am enrolled in a diploma in graphic and web design. Once I not just learn, but I'm able to like competently do the other aspects like web design, I would like to offer those services eventually. But for now, I do graphic design, logo designs especially, and illustrations.
So, if I get a little piece of money, I'd get your services to build up a better logo for my Connie Mike here. Hello?
Maybe, I'm sure, problem.
Yeah, great. As we look to wind down the interview, is there anything if my audience want to get in contact with you, how did they do that?
Well, you can visit my Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages. All are Kirina Dowrich Art and Design. No spaces or common letters. My name is
Well, it seems that we lost her again. Um, that's it here for me on my Connie Mike. The internet god wasn't in our favor today, but that's all right. I was trying to bring some different perspectives too as well. Just to reiterate the points that she was making, as an artist, it's very different to design under the stress of COVID-19. Um, she is also showing the value of what it's like to think as a designer and to understand that there are people in society, especially disabled people in society, who we must accommodate for during the COVID-19 experience we're having. Join. Welcome back. I'm not too sure what's happening on your end with the internet, but it seems that the internet gods is not in our favor here today. I was just reiterating the point. I don't know if for the audience who would like to get in contact with you, I don't know if you want to reiterate how they can contact you.
Yes. You visit my Facebook or LinkedIn pages. But my Instagram and Facebook, because the LinkedIn doesn't allow to message from the page. So just send me a message on Instagram or DM, or send me a message on Facebook. And it's Kirina Dowrich Art and Design. And from there, I'll
Okay.
be able to liaise with you.
Okay, great. And I want to say thank you, Karina, for coming here on Mike on your mic. Thanks for giving us this time. I do apologize for the internet, but that seems to be what the new normal we're working with here. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But I'm glad that you came into Mike on your mic and made your contribution and gave your perspective as a designer here in Trinidad and Tobago. I hope you all the best. I hope that you're hearing this. If not, you could hear it in the rebroadcast. I want to say thank you for being here on Mike on the Mic. It was a pleasure meeting you. You guys, we share the broadcast. There was some pertinent information. I think from a designer, we need to think about how in Trinidad and Tobago when it comes to design, why is it important that we think universally and we think about other members of society who may not be able to um, who uses the digital space too as well, and who we need to be able to accommodate for. Karina? Okay, so I think we lost her again. That's it for me here on Mike on the Mic. I just want to say take care of you guys.
Yes.
Continue. You're here? Yep. I'm just saying goodbye to the audience, and if they want to
Yeah. Yeah.
contact you, they can visit your website. They could visit your website, Kirina Dowrich, and you can visit you on Facebook, and they could visit you on LinkedIn too as well. That's it here for me on Mike on the Mic, guys. Take care, continue being safe, use the hand sanitizer, and
Yeah.
continue being safe, guys.